Ladies and gentlemen, reports are out that President Trump will go after Kevin McCarthy, the House Minority Leader. This is interesting. Trump could target McCarthy in Conservative Political Action Conference speech. Sources say his gripes about the California Republican have become frequent. I understand where President Trump's coming from. I'll give my analysis. Kevin McCarthy suffers from the same political realities that Mitch McConnell faces. Both have to cater to never-Trumpers, while at the same time defending and protecting the interests of 74 million supporters of President Trump. I'm giving you the political reality. You might say, well, any never-Trumper must be, kicked out of the Republican Party. I agree with you on that. I don't think that, Democrats, if anyone doesn't fall in line, they're called a Russian operative. Look at what Tulsi Gabbard made a reasoned critique of Clinton. A reasoned, rational, logical, and truthful critique. She was then labeled a Russian operative. So Democrats, but see, the Democrats don't have this issue. They don't have Mitt Romney, Ben Sasse, Kinzinger, Cheney, who, by the way, all voted alongside President Trump over 90% of the time, or well over 75% of the time. So you have never-Trumpers within the Republican Party voting alongside Trump on policies, but they get love and admiration and respect from media just for going against Trump. It's not about governing. We see what it took 1 month for President Biden to show who he really was. And I told you about this. Foreign policy is the reason, the moral justification. It would be immoral in my mind to have voted for Biden, knowing that within a month, which is what I told everybody, within a month, he was going to engage in a hawkish foreign policy. And I told everybody we shouldn't even be there. Why are the foreign policy is predicated upon the tactic that we just saw recently is predicated upon the notion that, well, we have to defend our interests there because we have Americans stationed in those locations. Yeah, who put us there? President Obama and then Bush before him. Why are we still there? Why are we still there? That's the issue. That's what drives me. That's why I support President Trump, because he's against never-ending counterinsurgency quagmires. I used to be the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. I used to be the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. People say, why do you keep bringing that up? Well, I keep bringing it up because there's a direct line between Bernie Sanders and President Trump. Once you realize that Bernie was politically a fraud. He might be a good human being inside, but politically, he's definitely a fake and a phony and a fraud in terms of politics. I was on the left, and the two choices were Clinton, who was advised by the Lincoln Project and all the neoconservatives to the Bush administration, or President Trump, who went against these never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. When Biden says, sending a message because, we have Americans there. That's the point. Bring them home. And President Trump tried to remove them from that region of the world. He tried to remove them, and the Pentagon and intel officials apparently lied to him. And they bragged about that. And then, see, what you had the past 4 years that President Trump fed into, and he fell into a trap, was this never-ending media hysteria, this fanatic coverage of Trump, this hysterical coverage. Every single day was the end of the world, and they barely have a majority in Congress now, and they have every single conceivable advantage from late night to Stephen Colbert to Jimmy Kimmel to every Hollywood intelligence operatives practically working alongside them. We'll stop Trump, which is what Peter Strzok texted. And they utilized a dossier against Trump and tried to frame and set him up, saying the most ludicrous tinfoil, absurd notion that fantasy that he worked with Russia. He didn't work with Russia. We know that. We knew there was never any direct evidence, but you never heard, those are baseless claims. Hit subscribe to this channel right now, ladies and gentlemen. Tell your friends about this channel. Tomorrow, President Trump's going to speak, and it's been reported that he's going to go after McCarthy. I'll read you this. If you want to read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Federalist, The Daily Caller, go to hagoodman.com. If you want to support my voice long term, ladies and gentlemen, to my Patreons, thank you. Your support is greatly appreciated, especially in this political climate. The link is below in the description, the pinned comment, and on hagoodman.com. But here, former President Trump is fighting mad at House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy over his support of Cheney's number 3 leadership spot in the House GOP, according to a report. McCarthy could even be in for a public rebuke in Trump's speech at the conservative. 3 sources close to Trump told Politico his gripes about the California Republican have become so frequent that his advisors think the House Minority Leader may be in for a public reprimand. Meanwhile, McCarthy praised Trump in his speech today. It was the forgotten man and woman that Donald Trump listened to, the voice that no one else would listen to. McCarthy broke with Trump in January when he said the former president bears some... He flew out to Mar-a-Lago weeks later to patch things up and meet with Trump to plan a GOP takeover of the House in 2022. And he didn't stand by Trump. Here's the issue. What needs to take place is this. 2022 is when you finally have, so we have to wait about a year and a half or so. We're only a year and a half away from a Republican Party that actually provides an opposing viewpoint to the madness and hysteria and to the active attempt by journalists and media to just sweep things under the rug. Biden has not saved democracy. He's not upheld the republic. He's not saved the world from Trump. If anything, President Trump was better for the world in general. Better for the entire world. Much better. Look at what's taking place right now. And he was on a course to removing American presence in that region of the world. Biden now, there are issues that fuel like Trump Russia. That wasn't about Facebook ads. Very likely that was about, foreign policy strategy for the next 5 to 10 years, or at least for the next, 6-7 years, or for the foreseeable future. There were issues when you have New York Times, Washington Post, MSNBC, CNN all talking about Facebook ads. And they're all saying that, we have to fear Russia again. Well, maybe there are issues within certain regions of the world. If the rebuttal is, Russia doesn't want us in this country or that country, might not be a bad thing. It wasn't that long ago, 20 years ago, when France didn't want us to engage in our never-ending, counterinsurgency conflicts. That they were right. The French were right 20 years back. We were wrong. And it's the Bush era neoconservatives, the Bush and President Obama's strategists and advisors. They're the same types of people. The establishment viewed Trump as an existential, monster dilemma. And so all of these superfluous, all of these public relations stunts, Stormy and Facebook ads and a Steele dossier, that's what the American public is fed by the smartest people in the room, the same people who got us into Vietnam, the same people who thought Facebook ads and Twitter bots swung the election but didn't go after the actual platforms. And Mueller found nothing, but you had Jeff Sessions and Mitt Romney and Richard Burr and Paul Ryan. All of these Republicans went after Trump. The issue is actually not with Democrats. The issue is with the Republicans that turned against a Republican president. In 2022, you're not going to have that. But until, you'll have hopefully a populist Republican House that will go against this type of hawkish foreign policy endeavor. Okay, I'm trying to speak in algorithmically friendly terms. Biden, it took him 1 month to engage in a tactic he's known for. These are the people who claim that Trump's a despot and tyrant and authoritarian, but they're the ones who actually implement the policies that a despot or totalitarian or authoritarian would implement. They do so with a smile, though. They do so in a multilateral sense. They're the ones who are just so fantastic, so good at public relations. But see, again, this is a fleeting moment in American history. They think that they have the pulse or they have the future of American politics in their grasp. It's not the case. They're nothing without Twitter, and Twitter is on the ropes. Twitter is going after a subscription-based service. Who is going to pay? What kind of life do you have if you're going to pay? What kind of life do you have if you're going to pay for access? Oh, and by the way, I have a live stream tonight about 8 p.m. or so, 8:30 p.m. So be there, be here. But ladies and gentlemen, Kevin McCarthy, he right now, like if you're leading, now I want you to defend me, AJ Badman. This is Mitch McConnell. Why don't you defend me for once in your life? For once in your life, why don't you say something worthwhile? Mitch McConnell, although he didn't stick by Trump completely, voted against impeachment. Kevin McCarthy, although he had some words to say about Trump, Nikki Haley, although she had some words to say about Trump, generally, all three of them generally stick by the 45th president, but they have to voice their opinions against him sometimes. You might say, well, that's unacceptable. Okay, but that's the political reality we face. That political reality will change. President Trump himself also has to change, alter that paradigm. He can't feed them. Trump should never, ever have insulted LeBron James or NFL athletes or gone after certain individuals. You might disagree with me on, Trump had a right to say this, and you know what? Those individuals went after Trump first. That's not relevant. You might say, well, you're critiquing the president in hindsight. Yeah, but these are missteps. There's no long-term political gain. Also, when you're governing, you have to try to at least, you don't have to reach across the aisle to people who are trying to just undermine you every second, but you have to you cannot allow media to erase your accomplishments. So people don't remember that President Trump was the only he allocated more funding to HBCUs than any president ever and made the funding permanent. He signed prison reform legislation. This is the opposite of what a despot does. Again, you can't reason with a great many apoplectic, seething, fuming, hysterical fanatics who are oftentimes morally superior liberals. You can't. There's no reasoning. They think they know it. They think they know what they're talking about because of MSNBC, CNN, New York Times, The Washington Post. They say, "Well, everyone's saying the same thing. It must be reality." No, everyone. The political paradigm, America's political discourse runs through the lenses of very apoplectic individuals that will judge Trump in a manner they would never, ever judge themselves. They utilize a standard of judgment and condemnation that they would never utilize against themselves or utilize when evaluating their own decisions or actions. They exist to condemn and judge and demean and pontificate and preach and give sermons. Nobody cares what they think. Even people on the left don't care what they think, but it's this constant, and Twitter is the platform. You remove Twitter, you remove Hollywood, you remove corrupt intelligence officials, you remove the never-Trumpers, and you just tell President Trump to tone it down a bit, just a tiny bit. And you then get a political party that will actually defend the interests of 74 million supporters of President Trump. See, to Jimmy Kimmel every night and to Stephen Colbert and to Saturday Night Live, this has never happened before in American, in entertainment. They actually don't speak. They think that 74 million Americans don't exist. They actively work to alienate over 70 million Americans. They do so with impunity. They don't care. They're actually like championed for doing so. But the reality is that people voted for President Trump because of his accomplishments and because of what he stands for. He stands for removing our presence from that region of the world. See, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. These never-ending quagmires are self-fulfilling prophecies. President Obama sent us into that region. Now we have to protect the justification for what Biden did was, well, we have to protect our presence there. Why are we there? Why are we there? It's been 20 years. Reagan wasn't like that. Bill Clinton wasn't like, oh, I remember I wasn't even like that. Well, that was Bush and President Obama. And then Trump comes in. You know what? He's not diplomatic. He has a belligerent personality, but he is not as dangerous to the entire planet as the good, wholesome, vanilla ice cream eating, aviator wearing, which is hilarious because nobody ever, they were so desperate to find something about, like, he wears aviators and he eats ice cream. Wow. Like, that, he was never known for that, was he? I don't even know. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Be here at 9, about 8:39 p.m. Kevin McCarthy, he's caught between a rock and a hard place. Sure, he should defend the interests of Trump, but see, at this point right now, President Trump has taken control of the Republican Party. The Republicans still haven't realized that they will in 2022 when the House is run by Devin Nunes, Matt Gaetz, Jim Jordan, Trump Republicans, okay? Not people. You're talking about like a great many Democrats are the biggest hypocrites on the planet. We see that in the past month. Give me your thoughts. Thank you. I'll be back, of course. Be here for the live stream.